When Thomas Nicholas was a freshman at SUNY New Paltz, his roommate committed suicide. Producer Caleb Smith tells the story of how Thomas dealt with this aftermath.
The first time, anniversary, that was very hard. That made me cry a lot.
That voice belongs to Thomas Nicholas, a junior at SUNY New Paltz who studies environmental biology. I was able to sit down with Tom as he told me about his heartbreaking experience here on campus.
So, my first year here sucked. I wasn't very happy about moving away to college at first, but obviously I did my best to cope with that. And one of my best friends from home I was living with. I lived in Lenape, which is a really nice dorm. So I did the best I could to create a comfortable situation for myself. And so Frisbee was a huge thing because I always wanted to play Frisbee in high school, and joining the Frisbee team here was like a really positive experience for me. And so at that point in time, probably around the middle of the year, things started looking pretty good. I was feeling a lot better. And then once second semester rolled around, my friend Eric, who he came to live with me, he took his life early in the semester, and that really created a cascade of just horrible feelings about the school, about life. That put me in a place that I've never been before, and I struggled through a lot of depression during that time. I came home one afternoon, and he was there, unresponsive. And I called 911, and he was, they told me to do CPR, but I was like, no, I think it's a little late for that. I think he was there for a few hours. And eventually, I was obviously in hysterics, and the police came and ambulance came. And I have to say the school handled that situation probably very, very poorly. The way they handled the students in the building and the way they handled me and my other roommate, Bennett, they really didn't help us in any way. Well, I actually sat in the police station for about 2 hours until counselors could come. Then they brought us back to the dorm, we talked to the detective, and then we talked to some counselors for a few hours before his parents came, and then my girlfriend drove me home at the time. But obviously the school did nothing to reach out to us or help us really in any way. That was the only time we ever heard from the counselors. 2.5 weeks I stayed home, just kind of figured everything out. Talked to his family, and all my friends came home, because we've all, been friends since high school, so a lot of my friends came back home, and, we did, the wake and the funeral. It was just really hard, because especially after that time, I very much removed myself from other people. I wouldn't say, it was a negative isolation, but I very much was like, well, this is all, superficial, and, there's still people that grieve on his Facebook page, and that's sometimes very hard for me to see, and but I've grown and matured and have a different perspective on life.
So then what is that perspective on life now?
So at first, when everything happened, dealing with death and things of that nature were very difficult for me to interpret and understand. Even within that time of grieving, watching somebody get shot in an action movie would really devastate me, and death was was very bothering to me. But as things moved on, I opened my mind to different things, a lot of Eastern philosophy. I took this great class here, actually, Great Books of Asia. And that, the professor, Finkel, opened my mind to things that I didn't know, existed. And I started really, as a biologist, finding answers in nature and, the order of things and the order of the universe, and how the universe is conspiring with you for you to be you and to continue to survive. And nature is the driving force of reality and everything in front of you. And that has helped me cope with death a lot, and understanding that, we're all just water sacks that are self-aware, and we're all going to die. Dealing with that and finding purpose in your own being and in the greater good, and understanding your place in the cosmos can, I think, give great joy, and understanding your place in the bigger picture, and just understanding that things happen, and you either die or you keep going and get better. When something bad happens, you're gonna keep going, so you're gonna have to grow, and you're gonna have to overcome your obstacles. Growing out of that and healing, I guess, really has changed my perspective on things, and learning all these new things and being open to them has allowed me a channel of understanding that has given me peace that I believe allows me to be happy day to day.
Tom has been able to find peace without letting go of Eric, and he brings Eric with him everywhere thanks to his tattoo.
That is on my right calf, and has his name, Eric Vandelar. And it's an image of a molecule known as DMT, which is a molecule that's born in living things. Most living things actually produce this. When humans die, this chemical is released into your, soup of chemicals in your brain, and it pretty much gives the experience of death and out-of-body experience that you basically meet your creator. So that's kind of a tribute to him as his final journey into the unknown.
What about that time when it comes around to the day that you found Eric?
The first anniversary, that was very hard. That made me cry a lot. But as it moves on, it's that time of year is always really rough. I always, it's not like I don't think about it and don't relive it, but I've definitely come to a point where I'm in control of those feelings. And I remember at Eric's funeral, there was probably about 1.5 feet of snow on the ground, and my one friend turned to me and he's like, the snow is just like Eric. It's so gentle and soft, but it still leaves such an impact. And that, that's something I constantly think of, that quote, whenever it snows.